This podcast is rated G for general audiences. All ages admitted.
Mission 250.
Welcome to the Mission 250 Filmcast, where we are watching the best movies ever made according to IMDb. There are 250 movies on this list. We are at number 89 this week. We've done, 161. That's a lot of friggin' movies.
Oh, wow.
That is.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm one of your hosts, Stenny. And you
joining me
guys-
are, it's TC and who else?
I am John.
We're so good at this.
Ah, there it is.
That's right.
Yeah.
Almost like we've done it before.
Yeah, almost.
Yeah, we got that out of the way.
It is Saturday. This is an off day.
That's right.
Yeah, this week we're doing 2001: Space Odyssey, directed by Stanley Kubrick, written by Stanley Kubrick, edited by Stanley Kubrick, photographed by Stanley Kubrick, special effects by Stanley Kubrick, whatever. He doesn't act in it, I guess.
Written by Stanley Kubrick and Arthur C. Clarke, so he shares some credit there.
Oh, there you go.
Certainly, it sounds like he had his hand in everything about this film.
Yes,
like
he did.
he's not just one that just sits back and takes credit for being the director while he has a lot of really smart people working under him. He goes out and gets the really smart people, but then he's like hands-on
He learns
with
from
them
them.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not so sure any directors really do that.
Get the smartest people? They try.
They got
At the
people,
very
but
least for this film, it really sounded like that's what Kubrick did. He went and tracked
Oh, yeah.
down. He's
Everything.
like, all right, I want this to look like that. Or this the film that I saw. So I'm going to go get them. And I'm going to
That's
talk to
pretty
them
cool.
and possibly have them actually do the work.
Wow.
So yeah,
And if they suck, I'm going to do it myself because I'm a
so
fucking
there's
genius.
that too. Right. If they're not going to be as like hardcore, like fanatical to get it the way I want, then
Right.
he'll do it himself, sort of.
Yeah.
Hey, like,
yeah.
guys, I mean, I know you guys think you know the process, but I actually know the
Right.
process.
I invented the process.
Right, you can see
guys
how this
could
looks like
just,
shit,
listen.
right? You can see that,
Yeah.
right?
You look at this and you see shit, right? You should see shit. Get
And
rid
you
of this
show it
guy.
to
I don't
me.
wanna
You
talk
think
to
this is
guy.
good enough?
Yeah.
Really? Is that what you're doing
Yeah.
right now?
Yeah.
Yeah,
fuck
we
you guys.
just get him to stand in front of the green screen. Get out of here. Out.
Get the fuck out of here. Yeah, right. Terry Gilliam gets it from somewhere, right?
So did you do some research on this one, John?
I read the Wikipedia page, which is really the best Wikipedia page for any movie I think that I've read. Yeah, it's very detailed, lots of references, lots of quotes. So whoever or the group of people that maintained that one, well done. It's very well written.
Look at that.
Huh.
Giving Wikipedia articles credit. Wow, that's a first.
Yeah.
Wow, that's something.
Yeah. So this week is my turn to review this movie first. You could argue that this is the best science fiction movie ever made. And you could also argue that this is one of the most overrated and boring movies ever made.
Also,
Yeah.
And I can kind of see both ways.
But there are such moments of like terror that I don't know.
If you're
You
not into it though, I could see it being, it's not like a regular, like as soon as astronaut Pool gets like thrown out into space, it turns into a horror movie for like the rest of the movie. If you're into the plot.
right. If you're still awake.
Right. But if you're not, it's just a bunch of people breathing and floating around.
Right. Well, the style of it, and the book is kind of like this too. The style of it is documentary-ish.
It is.
It's like allowing things to happen seemingly in real time. Certainly, you're not taking years or whatever that things actually take. But in the moments that you're in there, it's like letting you see how it's happening as it happens without making any edits.
Dude, it feels like they're in space. Like no question, it's awesome.
Right. And it's a lot. It's like things are going to move really slowly. He's got to get over here. It's going to take him a while. So sit back.
Yeah.
Maybe you'll listen to some classical music. I don't know. But
no music at all. Just
or no music, which again is another brilliant. I love that about this. If you're like ready for that, then it's great. If you're like impatient and kind of wanting more of a normal movie that's going to like drive you along, and there's a lot of good about that. But that's not, this film is like, nah, we're like documenting what happened here, sort of, and so it's going to let it go at its own pace.
And if that's not enough to turn you away from watching a movie, it starts out with monkeys for a half an hour in a sequence that I don't think a lot of people like it that much. Did
you have the, so apparently like in the old days, the films would do like a road show. And in the road shows, they would have an intro music sequence and an intermission sequence. And in the DVD I got, they kept the intro and the intermission sequences. So the screen was like black. Yeah, it's like black playing music for like 5 minutes or something.
Yeah,
I
watched
brilliant.
it. Yep.
Yeah,
I thought that was awesome.
Dude, can you imagine being into this movie on the first watch in the theater?
Yeah.
That would have been.
I'm sorry. I was watching it like, I forgot about this. Oh, did I remember this? I don't remember this. why am I just hearing noise? And why is it all dissonant? Like, why is it fucking freaking me out right now? You know? Like,
it's really tense. Hal is scary as fuck.
Yeah,
I couldn't really pinpoint like who decided. I know.
I want to talk about what happens in the plot because I've seen this movie like 15 times and I'm like, wait a minute, why did Hal?
We can go over the plot bit by bit because actually there's really not that much that happens, so we can go over it and talk about each bit. I think we should have a section for that.
Okay,
but just the way Hal is presented, where you have the quietness and you hear the ship's noise and you're just looking right into his camera with the red dot there and seeing all the reflections in it as he's talking. Or even not, as like something's happening and Hal's doing something bad, and you're just all you hear is like the roar of the ship noises. And
when he's murdering the 3 astronauts, and it's just like just a whirring noise, and it's the little bleeps go away, and he just like cuts to his eye, and you're like, whoa!
Oh, I know, Jesus Christ!
That is so brilliant. It's so brilliant to do it that way. It's so sinister and simple, and
he shot it like a human, right?
Yeah. Right.
Yeah,
but you're so and to do it when there's nothing there except this dot and a camera, basically. It's like you're staring him in the eye, but it's pretty amazing,
right. That's true. I didn't even think about that.
It's scary just like thinking like when you look in a human's eye, you can kind of guess what's going on inside, but with the computer, you're like, wait a minute, what? I know he's human-like, but he's not a human. What's going on back there?
Right, and the voice is just brilliant. Yeah,
it's the first device, right? It's the first I can't say it because it'll turn on, but you know what I'm going to say.
The first personal
Alexa, Google something for me.
Yeah, exactly, right. So if I say it, it's going to go, well, I don't know that one.
Look,
so I
you live in terror even now. I can't
I'm scared shitless, right? It's listening to everything I do in here.
It's before 12 boxes of toilet paper are going to show up at your door if you're not careful.
It'll just come on and go, hey, by the way, you're not very good at guitar.
You're like, fuck you, Alexa.
You've been playing like shit for a few hours now. I'm just letting you know.
TC, that let's hope this isn't your day job. Anyway.
So how come you've been doing this so long and you sound like that?
Or
searching for guitar lessons.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I was going to say that. That's what I was going to say.
Yeah. Oh,
no,
Terrence,
really.
I noticed you're playing at 65 BPM. Putting a metronome on for you. Thanks.
Where's that clicking sound and why is it so useful?
Yeah.
But yeah, that's basically what it is, right? I mean, it's kind of terrifying, but it's even further. It's further than that. So, keep on going, Denny.
Yeah, I mean, I'm on the. I don't know if it's clear, but I love this movie. I've watched it so many times. It's one of the best looking movies ever. Like just how it looks is so good still,
and how old it is just so astounding.
Yeah.
So compare like the special effects with say like I don't know, The Last Crusade. Like once they do the green screen stuff, and you see like in Last Crusade where they have the fighter jet. The
brightnesses are off between like what's in the foreground and what's in the background.
Yeah, it looks terrible.
Right?
It doesn't look terrible. Come on, John.
I mean, in comparison, it looks terrible.
Dude, this movie looks amazing.
And this was done 20 years before that one.
Yeah,
I mean, it's just
this was done almost 10 years before Star Wars.
Yeah,
wow.
So and some of the shit in this movie is like Star Wars ripped it off. Like the shot from inside the dock towards the beginning of the movie when they're landing on the moon, where it's kind of like a very wide shot and the bay is long and rectangular on the screen. Right. That's straight up stolen in Star Wars. It's like where the TIE fighters land. It's like the same thing.
Even like where the ship does the crawl. Again, they do it a lot more dramatically in Star Wars. But,
and when Poole's spaceship goes flying into space, that's like the end of Star Wars where Darth Vader's ship goes flying into space.
Yeah.
It's crazy because people are like, Star Wars is it's the movie that made blockbusters, right? It's like that and Jaws were like the blockbuster movies.
Right. And again, Star Wars is much more like, they took science fiction and made an action hero movie out of it. And this is not that at all. This is like hard science fiction. It's
the hardest of science fiction. It's so hard that like you shouldn't go any slower than this movie because you can't, because it's literally watching people walk around. You'd have to do it in slow motion to slow it down.
Yeah.
I think that's probably why it's going to like remain as, I mean, for what it did to movies, that obviously solidifies it. The fact that it holds up so well, what it did doesn't age. Like it's not a time relevance thing. It's like it's still futuristic, and they're hanging by ropes and stuff, but it looks like they're in space, and the spaceships look super real. They're not digital. I don't know. It does.
So cool.
I mean,
it has a definitely authentic feeling.
Yeah. They spent a lot of time making the models. So they shot like all the different parts separately in this movie, but the one thing that was consistent from before they started shooting till after was people were making models the entire time. That was like the most intense part of the production.
Arduous,
and they had it, and it took forever because they couldn't like shoot the scenes and then put the models in afterwards. Everything had to be there. So it wasn't like you just do the green screen or whatever and then put the models in afterwards. To some extent, there was some of that, but it was all like in camera. So whatever. That's why it looks so good. It's not like you would. To some extent, you were superimposing things, but it was all there in the same space.
Yeah, it's like when you think about how do they do that? Like, what kind of camera tricks do they do? Like, they didn't do any camera tricks. They literally were filming and they were on screen when they did it.
Right. So
The floating pen was just a pen taped to glass. The scene where they're like walking through a tunnel and then they step into a room that's spinning and then they go down a ladder and they're like upside down. That was just a camera. Like the room across the way was spinning, and as soon as they stepped into that room, there was a switch that stopped that room from spinning and started the room you were just in spinning at the exact same time. So it looked like it was like the smoothest shot ever. Like I can't imagine how hard that must have been to do.
Or they like when he's doing his exercises and you're following him around, what happened
That's
is the
a
actor
giant
is
set.
like, right, and the actor just stays at the bottom of the wheel and walks, but the camera is fixed. So to the rotating set. So the camera is actually moving.
Spinning around in the wheel, yeah.
Right, but it makes it look like the person is moving up. It's so beautifully done.
There's that one shot where the guy in the wheel is like, he comes down the ladder on the opposite end of that wheel, and the guy on the opposite end is eating food, and he walks over to him. That dude was just strapped to a chair upside down.
Right. I was going to try to look again and see if you could see like any clothes like hanging, like gravity.
That was one of the shots that took him the longest. It took him a week for that single shot because he was eating the food. The food was really there. He said like you could see food particles falling down. It took him forever to get it so it wasn't.
To not like have like stuff falling out because of gravity, right? That makes sense.
And Kubrick, I'm sure would see it, right? He would be like, oh, that probably wasn't good. I saw your fabric move there.
I don't want to eat this.
Do it again. Spin him
anymore.
upside down. Strap him in. Spin it upside down. Kubrick, I got a lot of blood in my head, dude. Can I take a break? I've been sitting upside down for 3 days.
Hey, dude, get a little woozy over here.
Yeah, no, I know. He was so intent on his vision. I don't think he cared necessarily what it did to his actors or stuntmen. But
he did not care.
Yeah, I know. There's some pretty bad stories there, but
dude, listening. So the DVD has an interview with him on it, which I think is pretty rare because he did not do interviews. But it's like an hour-long audio recorded interview, and I had never heard him talk before. Do you guys know what his voice sounds like?
No.
Kubrick?
Yeah.
Look, it's a strange, slow cadence.
Yeah, like I thought I knew what he sounded like for some reason. I had like a voice in my head. I probably just made it up for like how he looks. I don't know, but it was wrong, totally wrong, and it really caught me off guard. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm like pulling up a clip of him right now because I kind of want to. I'm interested.
It was.
Did he not talk like the clips that I've seen before, though? I mean, I'm assuming like some stuff when I hear him speak in some like opening scenes, but no.
No.
Oh, weird. So that was like put on for the show.
Which
and
scene?
Not his actual. Like he's done like some clips like where he opens up movies and opens up TV stuff.
Oh, he does?
Which I've seen before, long time ago when I was a kid.
Wait, are you thinking about Hitchcock?
Maybe I'm thinking Hitchcock.
Because Hitchcock had the Hitchcock Presents and he like says stuff and walks in the camera.
Yep, I don't know shit. So there you go. Yep, that's what it is.
No,
that's what happens when you fucking party for 3 days.
So you don't. So you probably don't know what he sounds like either. But you probably have a voice in your head.
Yeah, I probably don't. I have Hitchcock in my head. Kenny. We just right.
Hello, my name is Fat Man who makes good movies. That is me.
Yeah.
Yes.
Hello, that's right. Hello, we will now watch.
He sounds actually a little like Hal.
Do you think?
Really?
I don't think so.
I'm looking him up.
Dude, the voice actor for Hal, so perfect. Couldn't be better.
So he was a narrator on another documentary that about space that Kubrick had seen.
He also recorded all of his audio in 9 hours in 1 day, which is insane.
Whoa.
Well, Hal doesn't have a lot of speaking to do.
One day, though. Like, think about how good that character is and how long he's lasted. If there's just one guy talking for 9 hours.
He's like, as far as
dude, 1 day?
1 day.
What? Not even like there's no, and they didn't need to bring him back at all?
Nope.
Holy shit.
They got it perfectly.
That's impressive. Dude, they don't do that like now.
No.
I mean, a few days, but it's you pad it on purpose. Like, that's crazy.
Right.
Oh.
I mean,
pretty crazy.
Kubrick, what John said, he heard him elsewhere. He's like, I want that voice. He got the voice, and he's like, I'm good. That's what I wanted.
Yep.
That's what I got. I'm good. We're moving on.
It is the voice itself all by itself,
man.
Regardless of everything else about Hal, is just incredible. It's so incredible.
And the direction to like make him talk like that, like when he's dying, he's like, stop, Dave.
Right.
Like it's
Stop,
freaking
Dave,
chilling.
Don't
It's
do
awful.
that.
Yeah. And
Dave,
I also
stop.
Would
you please?
Bad for Hal.
Jesus.
Right.
I know you
says,
felt
"I'm
you did. You
afraid."
felt bad. You
When he
really
says,
did.
"I'm afraid," I felt
I'm
bad.
afraid.
Yeah.
He had feelings.
afraid.
He was
Yeah.
that fucking
And
crazy.
Dave was like about to cry. He's like unscrewing the dude's brain,
Yeah,
borderline
yeah.
tears,
I
being like,
know.
"Oh Jesus, I'm murdering somebody right now."
That's what it's. Oh God. I mean, Jesus Christ, that's heavy.
It's so good.
Yeah.
Oh man,
Yeah.
There's nothing like this. Like, have you ever felt bad
No.
for a robot in a movie before? Fuck C-3PO. I hate that goddamn robot. I
Not
hope
like
he-
this. Not in a way. Not in a way where it's not dramatically done. It's like it's again part of this feeling like you're watching what really happened. You're watching a documentary of sorts. So yeah, maybe there's some movies where you're feeling bad for some kind of AI or something.
There's no music to emphasize that you're supposed to feel
We've got
sad.
that, like say like the Blade Runner sequel. You know, we're feeling bad for his companion. Who's
That's
an
easy though
AI.
because they're humans. They're actual human actors, so it's like way
right.
easier.
Yeah, exactly. Good point. Right, all we have of Hal is his voice. And
He's a
that's
red
it.
dot. He's an eye.
Yeah,
like
and he's a red dot. Right.
He's a big ass computer.
and his voice is mostly emotionless. And-
Just a moment.
And,
Just a moment.
oh, what? Yes.
No,
So
that's
it's
my
just-
Hal
it's like-
impersonation.
yeah, right.
I'm not. Yeah.
Yeah, that's terrible. But it was
He was.
mostly.
You got John on that one. He was
Yeah,
like, "What do
I
you
did.
need? You need a moment? Yeah, you need a moment. Yeah,
I
it's
had
fine.
no
Yeah,
idea.
right.
Yeah,
Oh, what you doing?
yeah,
Impersonations?
yeah.
All right, go on. Continue.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so-
sure.
Terrible
All right,
fucking
yeah, whatever that was.
impersonations.
Yeah, I don't know what that was, Danny.
Yeah. But you're right. It's just brilliant.
The breathing.
Anyway.
The breathing is so good that when
Yeah.
the breathing gets more intense, I get more nervous. Like when he
Right,
starts
right.
breathing faster, I'm more nervous. It's fucking amazing.
It is really well done to have that, and not only hear you breathing, but you hear the like the air pumps in the suit or whatever it is. You're hearing the flow of air
Yep.
through the suits, so it's just like giving the sense of like you're just there with them,
Yeah.
and you're no dramatic music, no nothing else, and it again is a really just a brilliant idea because there was a score for this.
There was. Wow, really?
Did you not know that, Denny?
No, they didn't mention. So I watched a lot of behind the scenes stuff, but they didn't mention that,
Oh yeah,
which
so,
is weird because that seems like you'd want to know because the music is so important to this movie. The sound of
Yeah.
the music.
No, there was a score that was written. North, what's his name? So the guy's name was North. I'll look up the rest of it. And this was also put in the Wikipedia page. He had a full score for the movie, and then Kubrick had put the classical
Alex
bits
North.
in. Yes,
This is a good Wikipedia page. You weren't kidding, John.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
telling
what-
you. Kubrick had put had like he put like the score like these classical pieces in just kind of as filler, just as like temps.
What?
But then he just loved it so much, and
I can't
the
believe that's
idea-
insane. That
Yeah,
I can't believe that. It's crazy.
So there's this quote from Ebert in the Wikipedia page that says this was his essay on 2001 in his great movies, and he says that, and I really thought this really was well said that so North's rejected score, which is available on a recording, is a good job of film composition, but would have been wrong for 2001 because, like all scores, it attempts to underline the action to give us emotional cues. The classical music chosen by Kubrick exists outside of the action. It uplifts. It wants to be sublime. It brings a seriousness and a transcendence to the visuals. I
Yes.
totally believe that.
yeah.
Like it's completely like it helps to have it there to some extent because it sort of like alleviates some of the slowness of things and it adds a different weight to it. But it's not like there to accentuate what's happening in some ways. It's not like a film score, like dun dun dun. There's none of that crap.
No, it's like,
Um,
I mean, the way I see it is it kind of solidifies not only the movie for being like, this movie will never age, just like the Blue Danube, it's going to last forever, but also the act of traveling to space is so important that it merits this like timeless music to it.
Right. So you're right, though. It's also a good fit. And then the contrast, it's like, yeah, well, here you have science fiction and then you have like some of the oldest, like venerable art.
Venerable?
Ever. Venerable. It's like
Is that a new
survived.
word? That's a new word for me.
I don't know. No, venerable. I mean, it's just survived.
Are you trying to say vulnerable, John? Is that the
no,
word you're
not
looking for?
vulnerable. Vulnerable would be the opposite.
Opposite of vulnerable. Gotcha.
Yeah. Let's see. Venerable definition here.
You ever heard that word before, TC?
What do you think?
I haven't either.
Okay, venerable is
Josh,
accorded
you're
a
being
great,
smart over here,
It's,
Jesus.
it's accorded a great.
It's a
deal
good
of respect,
Wikipedia page. What do you want?
especially because of age, wisdom, or character. That's what venerable is.
Oh, sorry, I wasn't
Um,
listening.
Venerable is accorded a great deal of respect, especially because of age, wisdom, or character. I don't
Oh.
think that's quite the word I want. Like durable. I mean, the classical music is not going away. Bach,
No.
whatever.
No.
It's there. It's never going away.
And this
I
movie's
think
definitely never
that's-
going away.
Right. But the age of it is really an amazing contrast to too. Like, so you have this really ancient music and you have science fiction on the screen. I think that's just such a brilliant contrast at the same time too.
it's great too because the music isn't timely. Like he's not trying to be of the era he's choosing. Like it's never going to seem like an older movie. Like it probably seems as good now as it did back. Well, I guess it was before like the moon landing and stuff. So that must have been a. Dude, I can't imagine seeing this movie.
Imagine if he
like
tried to go with a contemporary score. Although, Blade Runner pulled this off with Vangelis and Benji, the guy.
What?
Vangelis.
John's just making up words to fuck with us. Dude, I'm sure.
No. What was the name? The name of the guy that did the composition for Blade Runner was Vangelis. But what was the Vangelis? Yeah,
I don't know.
Vangelis. So this score was his score was very digital and very modern, sort of like trying to predict a modern sound, and it works. It still works.
Huge risk because it could have sucked.
But what if like Kubrick went with some contemporary music, and what if you had kind of a disco thing going for the late 60s, or I don't know what. I mean, Kubrick
probably would have been he probably would have picked psychedelic rock, which might have been cool too.
It might have worked. I don't know, but I just think it would have been.
It wouldn't have been as good. No.
Yeah.
There's nothing would be as good as what it is. I don't think.
No. Right, but it would have been far more risky if you tried to be like, oh, let's imagine what music of the future is, like what Blade Runner did with Vangelis, but and it worked.
Yeah.
Anyway, go Denny. What else you got? You got more stuff?
Yeah. I mean, this movie you can watch. There's so many different ways to watch this movie. It's so rewatchable because you could just sit there and have some mind altering substances and just be blown away by the visuals and the sound and be freaked out because you're in space. I don't know, man. This it does everything all of the new science fiction movies does. And I think if you can get through, it is slow. And honestly, on first watch, I would recommend skipping the Dawn of Man section entirely.
Oh, really?
I don't know what you guys think about that. It is kind of hard on my ears, like literally physically painful listening to those weird monkey screams.
Well, yeah, the monkey screams are hard. There's some really unsettling
it feels like it's
audio.
digitally distorted or something like that.
Yeah. The monkey screams are hard. I hate the like.
Oh, you hate that, dude? Well, that's like that's my favorite song in the movie. It's such a weird song.
It is so. What it makes me feel like is I don't know if you've ever been at a party and you're feeling really, really like uncomfortable and just want to leave. Oh. Right? No. You wouldn't understand this, Danny. I don't think you've been in the social outcast position. Anyway, I'm just trying to describe a situation which you may not relate to at all, but where you just feel like completely like you're an outsider and you just want to get out of there and people are just talking really loud and laughing. And I just feel like that's kind of what that's.
I have a cartoon image of John being like a 3-foot tall human in the corner of a party, just like shrinking and shrinking as everyone else is having fun.
And meanwhile, everybody's like,
sounds about right.
It's just
well,
awful.
That's exactly what it's supposed to be doing then, right?
Yeah, I don't know. Well, I don't know if it's again well, we'll talk about the monolith this, but I don't know like why a super intelligent, uplifting entity needs to be annoying.
Is it uplifting? Why is it uplifting?
Because it's helping them. It's shifting them. For the apes, it's teaching them to use tools.
No, it's teaching them how to use weapons. That's not good.
Well,
it's even worse.
Not necessarily
tools. A weapon is a tool.
It is
actually. That's the point. I don't think that necessarily.
Still a tool.
The thing was
how do you kill something?
Actually
with a weapon?
Tool.
Right,
with a tool.
The tools led to weapons. I mean, it depends. You know,
the first tool was a weapon.
Oh, so you smashed the skull? Got it.
Right.
All right, Bob. I got you. Thanks. Yeah, I'll get that skull done.
Right. But in the book, there's like you start with the tools where you could use it to get food. You could use it to like make other things. It wasn't necessarily all about a weapon to kill like other people of your kind. It was about survival. And in the book too, they describe. I don't know if you don't get this. You get some of this sense like these ape men were just barely surviving. They're
called moon watchers, John.
No, it's
moon
not.
watchers.
Actually, no. That's just the one character is Moonwatcher.
I think they're call those roadies. No. They call those roadies now.
The main character is Moonwatcher. But they're not all Moonwatchers. That was his name.
Oh shit! Look at that.
Yes.
The teacher becomes
you
the
didn't
student.
know something. How about that? Let's go. Yeah, let's mark this one down. The
now I feel terrible. My night is ruined.
That is no role reversal, my friend. I'm sorry. Anyway,
I think it might be John. I think you're on.
I'm a bigger movie nerd than you are, dude. You can't even fucking talk to me about that.
I
don't even know who directors are. I don't even know what their names are.
It's all Hitchcock, TC. It's all Hitchcock, dude.
It all sounds like Hitchcock to me. I don't know.
Yeah, he's a fat director. He's got no hair. He's
What's
Hitchcock.
A movie? You telling me I got to sit through this for 2 hours?
It's
Jesus
all
Christ.
Hitchcock. He hates the
It's all
people.
Hitchcock,
Doesn't
right?
care if they die.
Dude,
It's
you
all
see that new
Hitchcock.
Avengers, bro? That Hitchcock has got fucking things going
bro,
on.
Bro, I'm telling you, I saw the fucking rope. I don't need to see Avengers, bro.
Single take in 1917. Have you even seen
Bro.
Rope?
Dude, I've seen it. I don't need to see fucking Star Wars, all right? I'm good.
Hey, by the way, before I forget to do this, again from the Wikipedia page, there's a George Lucas quote on there from 1977 where he says, Stanley Kubrick has made the ultimate science fiction movie, and it's going to be very hard for someone to come along and make a better movie as far as I'm concerned. On a technical level, Star Wars can be compared, but personally, I think 2001 is far superior.
It is far superior.
Right. He said this in 77, which,
Right when Star Wars came out.
Yeah. So, I mean, good on George. At the
Yeah,
time.
shots
That was
fired.
Actually, pretty nice.
Well, maybe before he was just surrounded by yes men all the time and got all weird. But
no,
I
I'm
don't
sure. I
know.
mean, he made Star Wars because of this movie. He's got to love this movie. He's not
Right,
going to
yeah,
make
sure.
something and be like, my movie's better than the thing that I love the most in the world.
Right.
That's
yeah, you're
fair.
never going to
Yeah.
say that, even if you think it, right? Scorsese might, but, the
Yeah,
rest of us-
Scorsese is the best
know.
director in the
Right.
world, dude. Of course.
It's on. All right, so I don't know what to tell you.
Sorry, excuse me.
I'm joking too, John, but he thinks
yeah.
he is.
Does he?
Oh, yeah, dude.
Is he
Hey,
quoted?
he's getting senile,
Is he
he's old.
quoted as himself? I mean,
Yeah.
other people
Dude,
say
he's
that about
talking.
him.
I mean, just the fact
Does
that
he
he's
say
like,
that
my
about
movies
himself?
are better than Marvel movies. Like, fuck, shut the fuck up, dude. Like, if people like Marvel movies
Two
better than
different
your
things.
movies, then maybe they're better,
Right. Yeah.
Who
Yeah.
are
Well,
you to
it's
judge?
just apples and oranges. Why don't we just leave it at
Right,
that?
right.
Instead of saying some stupid shit,
No, he is apples and oranges. They're not film TC. They're
No,
rides.
it's
Yeah, I
apples and psychopaths.
No,
That's what
to
it is.
him, right? It's fucking Pearl Jam versus Creed, right? He's like, that's Creed. I'm not
Hey,
fucking
Marty.
watching that.
Marty,
I'm
if
not
you're so
listening to that
freaking
shit.
good,
right?
Stop making the
That's
same
right, but,
movie
like,
over and
it's
over
still
again.
Something.
Right.
Yeah, it's still something, but it's fucking Nickelback over there. That's to him, but that's him.
I would like posit that these
Nickelback.
gangster movies all like allow us to accept more people to accept this kind of like sociopathic behavior, like what we see in like our current president. These movies.
Oh,
are
don't bring
a
it
moral
there,
drain on
John.
our
Don't say
society.
that Goodfellas
Oh, boy.
is bad for me. Come on.
Yeah, I'm telling you,
Oh,
it
boy.
is. Anyway, it
Could
leads
be.
to an acceptance of this. Like you just look after your own and people that are just like you and fuck everybody else, including killing them or whatever. What kind of morality is that? Anyway,
It's terrible. It's bad
Yeah,
morality.
That's shit.
bad.
The movies
bad,
are supposed
bad.
to be about exposing that and saying,
Yes.
hey, this exists.
Right.
But
So
it
you don't-
looks so
you-
cool
so-
that you kind of want to do it. You know what I'm
So
saying?
you don't make a movie like The Irishman and say it's a movie about loyalty and friendship and brotherhood. No, it's a movie about fucking psychopaths.
Oh, dude, don't tell me you watched Wolf of Wall Street and didn't want to find Quaaludes immediately when it was done.
Right. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Kidding me? I was
okay.
already
Oh,
racking
dude.
up a line on the way out.
Those
I'm like,
Quaaludes-
fuck, dude, I got to get one.
Yeah. They're extinct? No, don't tell me they're extinct. Shit. This movie,
Anyway.
yeah.
Anyway,
Anyway, this
Scorsese-
movie.
Wait, so you saying that
Scorsese
drug's
ran-
gone? I can't do that
To wrap
drug?
up-
Fuck, man.
To wrap up my review of this one, so you guys, I guess we're all still talking about it, but the ending of this movie is incredible. This movie is like incredibly art house, the way that it doesn't, I mean, I think it cares, but he doesn't follow the rules of movies where the
Right.
ending is the weirdest ending.
It is
It's the
and he
weirdest ending.
I have some complaints, but
Oh, dude, I love it. I think it's
I know. Okay.
really,
Well, we
really
can talk
fucking
about
bizarre.
that. We can talk about that, like maybe when we go through like the plot.
Because I mean, for me, when I watch this movie, and this still happens, like this happened the last time, during that last part, I forget what the overarching story is of the movie, like why they're in space. I forget because I'm just worried for Dave, basically, because he's like fighting the robot. You know, the last hour of the movie is like him. It's like a horror movie. It's suspense. You forget what they're doing, but
Right.
as soon as that part comes in, I mean, I love it. Like nobody knows the first time a monkey had an inkling to start turning into a human, right? We don't have no idea what that is. And the fact that this movie puts an idea there that it's like maybe
Weapons.
we didn't do it naturally. Maybe it
Right.
was given to us.
Right.
We're like,
Well,
well, that's
yeah.
as
that's
believable as the other one.
Right. No, and that's also that's and again to Kubrick's credit, that's him working with like
The
one
best
of the
science
arguably
fiction
the
writers
best.
ever.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's him.
Like, what
working with
happened
Arthur
is
C.
this is
Clarke
what and
yeah.
ultimately he was writing X Files then. Right?
Yeah. A lot more serious.
Mulder
but
was
yeah.
getting written that right when they were shooting. Actually, that's a fact. That's a fact. That's a Cliff Clavin fact right there.
Oh, Cliff.
Well, you see,
Well, you know.
Sammy, Mulder and Scully, which haven't actually been made yet, and Cheers, because Cheers before it, they were being made in the Kubrick. Oh, okay, thanks, Cliff Clavin, thanks, appreciate it. Yeah, anyways, I mean,
yeah.
that's a pretty interesting thought, though. I mean, it's so deep. This just fucking movie's too deep.
It lets you
I don't even
think
think I pick
about
up on any of
things.
this shit.
It lets you think about like it doesn't hold your hand, but it
No.
is in there and it's intentional and it makes you think about life in the universe
Right.
and all like things we still don't know. it's the best. I love it. Like,
Well,
this-
and Kubrick
it's good.
purposely was trying to make it so that it didn't lead you anywhere. You know, he was trying to make it, again, I sometimes might argue to a fault, I don't know, but he was always trying to make it be like, look, I'm not going to tell you exactly what is going on here. He wanted to like just paint this idea to get you to think about it. And that's what he wanted.
yeah,
He
I
didn't
can tell
want
you
to,
too
like,
that there
give you
was
the
a
answer.
voiceover that was removed in this movie.
Oh.
Oh, a little narration. He was like, fuck
Yeah,
this.
there
huh?
was like there's like a Kubrick has, I think there were only like a small handful of films that Kubrick didn't have voiceovers on. The Shining is one, and this one is another one. And Eyes Wide Shut. I think those are the only three of his films that he didn't have voiceovers. It's a feature in all of Kubrick's previous films. Voiceover was previous to this film. He had a feature in all of it.
Yeah. So, I mean, in terms of Kubrick movies too, I don't know why this isn't the highest one on the list.
I
don't know
agree.
why this
I
movie
think-
isn't closer to number one.
I think for technical achievement alone, this goes in the top 10. Anything,
Yeah.
regardless of anything
Yeah.
else. I think just like the technical achievement of it is just so astounding.
This just
that-
proves IMDb users a fucking,
Well, I can kind of see it though. It is like I think
It's
most people
weird.
wouldn't like this movie.
Yeah,
'Cause it's
it
so
is
slow.
weird.
Yeah, I
It's
guess you have
slow
to be a
and weird.
movie person to like
Right?
this movie,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I liked it. I don't know. Maybe I respect it enough.
Well, yeah. So that's something, right? Because you don't usually like old and slow movies, but
Yeah,
This
right. I
is-
could have been a contender. Go fuck yourself, right? I don't ever fucking see that. But
hey,
like,
Luke,
you
how
know,
many eggs can you eat, Luke? Huh?
Yeah. Oh, hey,
Oh,
fucking. I don't know.
God.
Why
Oh,
don't we
God.
ask Hal? Hey,
Thanks
Hal,
for
how many
reminding
legs
me
can you
about
eat?
that shit, Danny. God, I put
That's
that
all
one
I
out
think
of my
about when I go
mind.
to sleep at night. Is just fucking what's his name, the salad
Egg
dressing
eating.
guy with a belly full of eggs. That's my fucking nightmare.
Salad dressing guy with the
That's
belly
your nightmare.
full of eggs.
And you wake up and then he goes, "What happened?" He goes, "The same fucking nightmare. It's eggs. Yeah, the eggs,
so
dude.
I'm
The
just-
eggs." Yeah, right. That's a nightmare. All right. Yeah.
Yeah, you guys have kind of expressed your opinion too. You want to? Should we get into the plot
Yeah.
now? Or?
Now we should get in the
Yeah,
plot.
well,
I don't-
we can go over do a plot review and talk about it, and then we can get into trivia if you want.
So, okay, plot review. What do you guys think of the Donna Man part?
Which part?
The first part with the
The
monkeys.
whole ape.
Oh, it's confusing.
Yeah,
I think it was very confusing when I saw this. Both the beginning and the end were fairly confusing to me.
dude, I think so.
Um,
So, one more thing I wanted to say that I just
Yeah.
remembered. I think every movie should write, because this happened in Parasite, where there was a lot of other shit written about the movie that kind of backs up the points of the story.
Yep.
I don't think
Yep.
movies, I mean, this could just be a personal taste. I don't think all movies, or I don't know. It'd be more fun if most movies didn't spell out the plot to you all the time, because like most of them do.
But it was there.
And it was
But-
there,
but-
and it backs
yeah,
it up. Like this
right.
movie is confusing as hell. I don't think it would be possible to understand this movie on the first watch and then also not look up what's going on.
Or
'Cause-
without it being really strange. I don't know. I mean,
Huh.
the book fills in a lot more, but that's the book. And Kubrick is pretty clear saying that the movie isn't the book. His interpretation of it is different. In terms
Well,
of what
that's
may or
that's
may
weird
not
too,
happen.
because then they made the 2010 the sequel to this movie. This movie has a
Right, right.
sequel,
Right.
Huh.
But I don't think Kubrick didn't have anything to do with it.
right? But
Right.
Arthur C. Clarke did, and
Sure.
it's if you want, I mean, it's probably canon as much as this movie has canon. It's-
I would say no, because this is Kubrick's film. So whatever Kubrick was thinking about it, and what Kubrick deliberately wanted to do is leave some parts of it open-ended. And so I would think that then 2010 is not canon. It's not an extension of this. It's an extension of Arthur C. Clarke's book. And the book that relates to the film that fills in a lot of gaps in one way that Kubrick didn't necessarily want to do. And that's all good. None of it's bad. I mean, and the book is great too. It's just more specific. And there's, again, I think from the Wikipedia page again, where Kubrick talks about how, that's what a book does. A book is going to give you details. A book can't just let you hang there without necessarily knowing what's going on. But a movie can just show you things and help you feel things and let you think about it. And that's what he wanted to do with this.
you can kind of do that in a book too, can't you?
I think you can probably with a lot more of it. It's going to take some artistry to
Yeah.
do that with just words.
It's
But yeah.
probably it's a better format to do that kind of thing in a movie.
Yeah. You don't have the other senses to rely upon that you can just
Right.
get people to think about stuff without
Right.
saying something. But you're right. I'm sure you can do it in books too by just like describing characters or describing what they're doing, say, without saying what they're thinking or something. There's
Yeah.
all kinds of ways to have you as the audience think.
That's why you
Um,
cast Jason Statham.
right.
He looks like he's thinking about stuff, right?
But I think in often, and I don't know if this is, I mean, in a science fiction book, and maybe just in books in general, the more you just go after a lot of detail in science fiction, and that's what the book does. The book is kind of boring in a different way because it just goes into detail. There's a whole chapter about that.
Is it good? The book? I haven't read
liked it. Yeah, I skimmed it in time.
How do you skim a book? How does that work?
You just kind of read through.
John's Hal.
John is Hal. In space, they're in space. All right. Space, more space. Okay,
yeah,
there's
you kind of go
space.
through the paragraphs. You just kind of skim. You like read the main.
Is that how you learned computer science in like 6 months? Because like I feel like you just learned that out of nowhere, but
that was weird. You're like, hey, I'm a doctor. Wait a minute, I'm a fucking programmer now.
Actually, I'm a fucking stud programmer, by the way. You didn't know that about me, right? Yeah, I know. As I was sitting there taking notes, I was actually writing equations and shit. So
that's a whole other story.
You guys make fun of me for all my free time.
Yeah, keep telling me how you feel. Yeah, sure. I got this fucking thing coded.
Oh, is that a good transition to the coding? No.
Yeah.
Anyway.
The program.
Stop giving the secrets out.
Do we want to go through the plot first, or should we go through?
I kind of do. I have some questions in the movie.
So let's, and I can tell you like what the book was doing for the most part, and then we can kind of contrast that. So
I have information too of what they were trying to do and the information they removed. And my big question is
so there were
intentionally,
and that's right. And there's a lot of trivia around this, I'm sure, but there were tons of cuts to this film, and in a weird way, where like they were like telling theaters to what to cut, and the theaters were like doing their own edits based on what like Kubrick told them to do.
Well, so theaters used to do their own edits anyway,
which is crazy.
Which is so weird. It's so weird. And like different countries would do that too. Like they'd import a movie,
sit there
and the people at the top in the government,
film.
they'd be like, well, let's play the fucking director here. Just people in government know nothing about movies editing a movie. Fucking strange. So they'd go to different countries and they'd see the movie was edited, and like they'd have people tell them that like, oh, I saw it in Germany, and it was that scene was missing, and Kubrick was like, what the fuck? Why are people doing this?
But he would cut a lot based on audience feedback too. Like there's like different cuts, and then he would like Kubrick demanded that a lot of the extra film be like burned upon his death. They had some of this stuff, and a lot of it's lost now because Kubrick insisted that he wanted the films to be the way he wanted them. Yeah,
he's crazy. That's insane. That's an insane thing to do, and he's so good.
He's good. So it's hard. I mean, again, I can argue with the way he might have, not the way he might have, but the way he treated people was pretty shitty.
Dude, he was a sociopath. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Not in a bad way, but just, I mean,
I guess kind of bad. There's a good way.
Well, there could be worse ways. He wasn't like violence,
No, right. He
didn't kill anybody.
People. No, but in service of his craft, he didn't care if people got hurt or were wiped out.
Well, he had the notion it was like, well, I told them this was the way it was going to be, and if they want to be in my movie, this is the way it was going to happen.
Right. But he also, like, if he would put stuntmen in danger and they would, like, one guy was, like, passing out unconscious in the suit because of the lack of oxygen. He's like, it's fine. We got to get the shot.
Yeah.
So, there's some bad things there.
Yeah, for sure. But I don't think I don't know, man. Just listening, I'm a huge fan of him, too. So I'm just, I'll be an apologist, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. Kubrick and Bowie.
I think Bowie, of course. And Bowie, dude, Bowie got famous because of this movie. Fucking
what?
Yeah, his first song is "Breakthrough," Ground Control to Major Tom. Space Odyssey was written because Bowie saw this movie, and like,
I didn't know that.
If that hadn't happened, David Bowie might not have made the music that he made because of this movie.
He might have been more just doing popular stuff, right? Instead of like going all weird and
could have been.
These characters.
Well, he started
and stuff. I don't know.
Like that song was the first single that he ever had, and it blew up. But then like his first few albums were pretty folky, and it wasn't It wasn't until like the mid 70s where he started doing the glam rock concept album, like alien sci-fi shit. Like he started normally. So, but I mean, it still influenced him, like the whole sci-fi shroud from this movie was an influence on Bowie. Wow. You can't give this movie enough credit. You can't.
I can see that. Like I can imagine, I haven't said this for a long time, but imagine being there in like the late 60s and seeing this when you see nothing like it. It would be, just imagine how mind-blowing that would be.
I can't. It seems like that would be the best. Some people still think this is the best movie ever. And those would be the people that got into it when they first saw it. They'd be like, whoa, how did they do this? How do they make this movie?
Yeah, right. How do they think about it?
Yeah.
I don't know. I can barely get through it, let alone think about it.
When they're doing the landing on the moon and you see the like lander like descend through the crater there, and you see like the people working on the computer screens.
Oh my God.
In the silo, and you see like a picture of the lander that's landing in one of the computer screens inside the silo. Damn, the detail there is just.
That was one of the things I thought of when I was watching it this time. It's like if if you think about the theaters back in the 60s, if you saw this in a theater that wasn't like where the projectionist didn't care and the screen was old and there was dust on the thing, like if this movie looked less than how good it actually looks, I could see it being boring. Because like that's the only way I can see this being boring, because like the visuals on the screen are just, they're top notch. Like they're tied at one with whatever else is this good looking. But if it didn't look this good, this movie wouldn't be as good.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like if you watch the low quality of it, if you watched it on VHS tape that had been recorded from television.
Oh, yeah, because again, it's this documentary style. So you've only got, and there's criticisms like, oh, well, the characters aren't very dramatic or whatever. These are just people doing their jobs.
Yeah.
They're not.
And they've been hanging out with a robot for months.
Right.
So they're starting to act like a robot.
Yeah. They're just sort of like detached and just trying to do, but they still show a whole lot of emotion at times where it's appropriate. But you don't have, it's not set up to be dramatic. It's not set up to have some kind of like, sort of emotional tension just because that's what a movie should
And you
do.
need the people they pick for these, like, I mean, the people they would pick for this type of mission would be the people that can emotionally detach, because it's an insane thing to do what they're doing.
Right. Exactly. So they're gonna be very, very professional, right? To the extent that they can. And that again is part of just adding to this sort of sense of realism, but people could complain because it's not giving you this easy sort of action and drama that you might want from a film.
Yeah, it's not very movie-like. It doesn't have the things that movies have in it.
Right. It's not there. It's more of this documentary style as opposed to an entertainment approach. Like we're going to do what's going to be most entertaining, as opposed to we're going to tell this story as if that's what really happened. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
But I can see how it's like thought of as slow or detached or just, it's just not your usual movie experience.
Yeah. And I'm not surprised people don't, this movie is highly regarded, but if I was a person where my job was to invest in movies, I would not invest in a movie like this.
Right.
It would be a long shot. It would be expensive, especially if you wanted to do it with real sets. If you wanted to build that set again, like they don't build sets like that anymore. The thing that actually rotates where people can be inside of.
Right, like a big friggin' Ferris
like a structure.
Wheel.
Yeah,
a fucking structure.
They don't do that. They put you on a green
they
screen.
build homes. They build homes now, actually. So that's not true.
What does that mean? Like
Parasite.
Oh, they'll build like actual homes.
Parasite. They built a home.
Oh yeah, they built a house. That's true.
They built a whole house.
But the house didn't rotate.
No, I know, but still, they built a structure. Right?
True,
the point was they built a structure.
They did. But that is a South Korean movie,
stuff.
so slightly different, maybe?
Yeah. Oh, well, no, they're taking stuff from American cinema. Everyone is, right?
But I mean, if you built that house in Hollywood, that would be way more expensive than wherever they probably built it in South Korea. Maybe?
I did not catch that part. Yep, no, that didn't connect. So yeah, you're probably right there. Absolutely right there.
But they could have flown somewhere and I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. They would just do it on the lot,
right?
And then build it on the lot. So it probably wouldn't be that
for
expensive
different camera angles, and they'd figure it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Without building the structure with load bearing walls.
Right. Beautiful fucking concrete house with the glass that goes floor to ceiling.
Yeah.
It's fucking amazing.
So TC,
actually,
what did you think of this? I'd like to hear. I don't know if you have.
I mean, you guys nailed all of it. I mean, it's the only thing that I noticed was just being terrified from that music. That's really.
Oh yeah.
And then Hal being terrifying, and me basically forgetting about that part of this movie. I think. I must have not really, I guess I half-ass everything. So I probably just I probably barely watched it when I first watched it the first time. I was like, oh, this fucking movie's awesome, dude. And then went home and was like, never fucking thought about it again.
Oh.
It's weird, too, because you have to get into it like 3 times, basically, because it changes 3 times.
There were parts that I just don't remember. And there was like a lot of just like, oh, right, the monkeys weren't the whole movie.
Right. And it doesn't bother to transition you.
Thank God the monkeys weren't the whole movie.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, my God.
True. But it doesn't bother when it transitions. It really doesn't bother to catch you up. It just is like you're starting over in a way, and you slowly understand maybe what the relationship is between the previous part. So you're right. You do sort of have to re-engage 3 different times.
Yeah,
right.
And whether or not you engage, I find the hardest part. I mean, I've trained myself to be good at watching this movie now. It's kind of a strange movie. I remember the first time I watched it, I couldn't pay attention because I wasn't in the mood or whatever. But now I know what I have to do to pay attention to each individual part, because I think the second part, the moon landing with the guy that goes to the moon to eat a fucking egg salad sandwich or whatever the fuck he's doing, that part is the hardest part to engage in, because you go from monkeys that don't talk to bureaucratic slowness on a slightly warped base, and him talk. It's really, I find it very hard to pay attention to his words when he's at the podium. Very hard to pay attention. But as soon as you figure out what he's talking about. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. I don't know. I can totally see being bored by this movie or having a hard time focusing on what the plot they're trying to show you is, because it just comes off as slow. But like as soon as
it's really slow, because again, you got you can like sum it up so quickly. It's like you have this monolith which like makes the monkeys use tools, and then you skip to the
second monolith
where they've discovered another monolith. So he goes to see it. The monolith emits this noise. That's it. That's the second part.
And what does the noise do? It points to fucking Jupiter.
Right. So that's it. That's part 2.
Yeah.
Part 3, then you've got Hal, the computer that is in charge of the mission. They're going to Jupiter to see what the hell
that doesn't even matter.
over
The entire third part could be summed up as Spaceman gets to third monolith, turns into Space Baby.
Right. Exactly.
That's it. That's the movie.
You know,
when you put it like that, Denny, I mean,
yeah, Space
do you
Baby.
think Kubrick walked out of the room and then that's what someone said to the other executives? Like, guys, did you not just hear what I heard? I heard this thing.
Did he say end the movie on shot of
Space
Space Baby? Did he just say end the movie on shot of Space Baby?
No,
Space Baby. Did I hear Space Baby?
No, guys, not Space Baby. Space
in a vegetable? It's in a vegetable.
No,
Space
Star
Baby's
Child.
in a vegetable.
He said Star Child.
Jesus
Star
Christ.
Child.
He said Star
Space
Child.
Oh, fucking A.
Yeah.
Fucking Star Child, baby in a thing.
So what is a Star Child? I don't know.
Guys?
Some kind of space baby?
Yeah.
The fuck, where's it going to float? What the
that's
fuck
like
is
the
this?
plot.
Go to
And-
both.
and-
He's got a bubble.
Yeah, and if you want to add a little more detail on the plot, then you have the murdering AI Hal. Yeah, and that's about it.
Yeah.
You know,
For the kids.
so-
The suspense for the kids.
And then
For the
the
kids.
guy said, I heard this other guy's doing something with a couple robots and some fucking thing like Chewbacca or something. I heard that's going to be good. We should probably just fund that one.
What is it, like a dog that stands on 2 legs? Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. That makes sense. I like that one. Baby in space,
Yeah.
that doesn't make sense. Dog standing. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
That's good. Let's do that.
It's going to sell some tickets, I think.
Yeah. I mean, there's also the other thing. I mean, it might have just been like they respected Kubrick and were like, nah, you're good. Just fucking, here's your money. That's
That
probably
had
what
to
it
be
was.
right? I don't know. I don't know what the story is for the funding of this film, and I know it went
that's
over
what happens
budget,
at our
but-
thing all the fucking time. We get a person to sign a deal, and then they have a 4-year deal. They just make stuff. It's not like you're not gonna fucking like choose one thing over another. You just have 4 years.
So for this
5
movie,
years.
actually, the guy that there was a producer that really liked Kubrick, and the guy underwrote the movie. So apparently that means like if the movie goes over budget, the producer was liable to pay for any additional costs.
Wow.
So Kubrick had a free reign with this movie. He also produced it himself. He put up all of his money he made from previous movies. He used all of his clout to make this movie.
And
Good for-
he knew full well he's fine either way.
Well, I don't know. This movie
Well,
could have been.
yeah.
This movie started off as a disaster. It was
Yeah,
pretty.
Hey, you just go on to the next. You just go on to the next job. It's just like everything else, right?
He was different though.
It didn't do well until
Well, he
the
knew-
re-releases
he knew.
helped
He was
them
confident.
recoup
This thing's going.
like the money.
Right.
I mean, he was definitely confident that he was different than every other director working at the time.
I know the process, guys. Everybody's not listening to me, okay? Put up every money you got. Put up your money. I don't give a shit. We're doing this,
Well,
all right?
I just thought he just believed it. He just wanted to do this. I don't know if he even cared about the success of it. That this is what he wanted to do, and he's driven to do it. And whether it made money or not is secondary to whatever it is that
Because
he
the money is
decided he
nothing
wanted to make.
to him.
Yeah.
Right.
And
The film is
again,
the thing.
You probably know more about Kubrick than I do, Denny. But that's kind of like given like his meticulousness. It seems like he's not out to make a buck. He's out to make the art that he wants.
He wants to make the
Right.
best possible art he can make.
And the money's going to be there for him no matter what.
Because he
on the
knows
next
he's
project.
good because he literally
Right.
spends all of his time. He spent all
And
of his
that's
time.
why there's multiple studios, baby. Fuck it,
Yeah.
right? Like this guy, it didn't work for this fucking one. Now I'm going over there now. Where's the problem? Oh, it's over there now.
And so, I mean, Kubrick started at the age of 12 being a professional photographer. That's how he got to start. From 12
Jesus
to
Christ.
17,
12?
he was a professional photographer. He
Holy
worked
shit.
for Look magazine, which back in the 60s was the same as like People or whatever. It was like the most popular magazine in the
damn.
fucking country. And he was a photographer for them. He was terrible in school. He didn't get into any colleges. He was a goddamn photographer and he loved movies. So he started freaking focusing. He like worked behind the camera for the first portion. He figured like his first movies, and he actually kind of did the same thing. This movie is an exception because the production was much larger than most of his other movies, but a lot of his movies was just like him behind the camera, cinematographer, director, doing everything, coming up with all the ideas, writing the stories. Like he started because he wanted to make movies, but he had no friends in the industry, I guess. Like he didn't have any way in. So he was just like, I'm going to save money by finding people that'll work for free. I know how to use a camera. Like I can write my own stories. I can do it all myself. I'll just do everything myself. So then he just made friends. He went out and made friends with like the best writers and cinematographers, and he would use them sometimes, but he would mostly like just hang out. Like his only free time would be hanging out with these people that he thought were smarter than him so could learn from them. Like all he would do was invite them over to his house and get them to talk so he could learn what they knew and then become better than they were.
Yeah. Wow. I mean, he was doing that at 12. Fuck me. Right? I mean, that's when he started doing that.
That's when he
shit.
started. Yeah. I mean, he was good enough at 12 to be paid by people who, sell shit to other people.
I mean, I can't even imagine that first day. They got like, can you fucking believe this kid? Who's the fucking kid think he is?
Whoa, look at that picture.
And
That's a pretty good picture.
They saw something. They were like, oh, okay. No, we're good. We're good.
Yeah.
Hey, Bobby, take a look at this. This guy knows the process. What are you doing?
That's a good picture,
That's when
right?
it started.
Yeah. Well, the thing was, I mean, photography, I know nothing about it, but it sounds like the thing that took the longest on all of his movies, and especially, I don't know if especially, but for this movie was the lighting every shot. Like where they put the camera somewhere and then they'd spend hours, if not days, lighting a scene. So like the actors would have potentially days between shots because they'd be working on lighting a scene perfectly. Which is why it looks so fucking good still.
And then they just used whatever his average was, and they were like, "That's the thing we're gonna do," and just keep time on a.
He had a system where he'd be able to take, since like the dailies, like this is before digital film. Like if you filmed something, you couldn't see it until the next day at the earliest. But he came up with a system through trial and error, I assume, where he'd have a Polaroid camera and he'd be able to measure with like some kind of light meter the light levels in certain parts of the picture, and be able to translate that information into what he needed to do with the actual film camera. So he'd be able to, that day, light it and then figure out how it's going to look on an actual camera as opposed to like guessing, which is pretty much what, you'd have rules of thumb like every job does. It's like, you typically, if you want to shoot a corridor scene, you use whatever candela, number, and you put the light over here if it's a sun thing, but he didn't do that. Every single shot individually lit with his weird custom system that he created himself.
Yeah.
Which is, so he was just a genius.
Yes.
And destined to be a filmmaker.
His mind was always working, it seems. Like he never stopped making movies. He literally died a week after he finished filming Eyes Wide Shut. Damn. He never stopped working.
Wow.
He's the man. You guys got any more thoughts on the movie?
Are
we going through the plot? We're going through the plot.
Do you want to go through the plot and have questions?
I had one
on
question.
That, or
so my one question, I'm not sure there's an answer.
You only have one?
Only one. I think the rest of it makes sense. The one question I have is, which Hal was incorrect? The Hal on the Earth or the Hal in the ship? I feel like the faulty read, was it an actual faulty read? So that the only reason there was conflict that started was because there was a difference between the two units, and they were supposed to be perfect. It's still, I don't think there was anything in the movie that said that the unit that he predicted as becoming faulty didn't become faulty. It wasn't enough time that passed. They could have still done that. So the Hal on the ship could have been the perfect one, but the inconsistency between the two was the reason that the conflict started, and why the doubt started, and why the murder started, basically.
Right. So that's the general idea is that Hal kind of went insane because he couldn't handle being wrong.
But was he wrong? Is the question. I mean, he could have been right. The one on the Earth could have been wrong and caused the discrepancy between the two.
Right.
So I don't know.
I didn't go that deep. Typical.
Yeah. It's okay.
It's not
plenty
my bag.
to enjoy without thinking about that.
Again, I think it's just a really, and I like how open it is about, you can speculate about why Hal went insane, sort of, but it's interesting. You don't know exactly, and I think that's another
I think you know.
bit of the film.
I think you know.
Well, because he couldn't. What I've heard is he couldn't handle being incorrect. Like was just not capable. And then he was also had to lie to the crew. Like there was like inconsistencies in terms of what he knew. So what do you?
Well, no,
think,
he knew that the humans were going to have doubt because the home base or whatever sent him a message saying their computer was not necessarily trustworthy. So then he knows how humans work. So he knew they were going to think that because they had this doubt now that they might consider disconnecting him, and his prime initiative was to make sure that the spaceship got to where it was going. The fact that he thought that the humans might disconnect him was the reason that he needed to kill the humans to save the mission, basically.
Oh, yeah. Okay, that's good. All right. Damn it. Right. I liked it. I thought it was more vague in my mind, but you've cleared it up. Thanks.
Right? I mean, I'm pretty sure that's what it is.
Hey, that was now the once again the student has become the teacher. I'm usually the one that gets
the
to
teacher
clarify.
again. Yes, I put my hat on, put my hat back on.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, I can't let you in.
Now we
I'm not letting you in. Right.
When I teach, I wear the graduation hat because that's the only school hat I think I can think of.
And besides, you can put cement on that. That's what it's for. Anyway.
Okay, that's good. So that was my only question.
Okay. Wow. I thought you might have more.
No, I think I get most of it.
Well, if I were to I think like the ending sequence goes on a long time with the flashing lights.
Are you kidding? That's like the best part of the movie, dude.
Really? It goes on forever. But
it's amazing.
And then there's such a small, quick glimpse of Star Child that I didn't even know it was the Earth, and I had no idea what to make of it.
He's back to the Earth. Yeah.
Yeah, I had no idea what to make of it until I read the book or until I read up on other stuff. I had no idea what the hell was going on there.
Yeah, and there's no way to tell just watching the movie. There's no way to tell.
Yeah, and there's in the book there's a lot more emphasis on like nuclear tensions between countries and how the Earth was just about to blow itself up. And Kubrick really did not. He had some before the edits. There was some of that in there, but he took it out.
And the thing is, too, so when that famous cut from the bone flying in the air to the spaceship, when it does that.
It was like a nuclear satellite, right?
That's supposed to be a weapon.
Platform.
So it goes from first weapon to nuclear weapon.
Right. Which I like that. That's an interesting.
It's cool, yeah. But there's no way to know that that's what it's supposed to be just by watching the movie.
No, because Kubrick kind of like de-emphasized that piece. Yeah. Which is interesting.
But the Star Child, the whole thing is he's created and then he is able to destroy those bombs.
Right.
So then he removes.
He becomes like a god.
Yeah.
He moves through time and space, and what he's going to do next. And the book is like, that's like the ending line of the book. It's like, well, what's he going to do next? Well, he'll figure out something. He just sort of leaves it there. Like here he's now like been uplifted by these other aliens that captured him. He's now got godlike powers, and he's back at Earth. And one of the things he does is destroys the orbiting nuclear facilities.
Yeah.
And then he's going to think about what he's going to do next.
Save other planets, little Starman. Do it.
Or save that planet. Who knows? It still is a mess, right? I don't know. But so it's really interesting how it's just left vague. But the movie gave me absolutely no idea what the hell was going on.
Yeah.
I didn't even know. Like I said, I didn't even know it was Earth. I was just like, there's a fetus and there's another planet, and I don't know. And then it's over. And it was such a short sequence compared to the rest of that bit with the light speed travel or the hyperspace travel or whatever it was, and then him in the like weirdly furnished room.
Oh my God.
That.
Such a weird scene.
It's weird and cool, but in the book it like lays that all out. Like the aliens and in the book actually he goes backwards. In the book he regresses from an adult and he goes back to being an infant. He doesn't get old. He just goes backwards.
I see what they did there.
And then he becomes a baby and there's a bubble in the room and he's like, I'm gonna crawl into this bubble.
Yep.
It's not a baby, it's a Star Child. It's a fucking baby, dude. It's in a vegetable. All right.
Space baby.
It's a fetus. Space fetus. Anyway.
Yep. Space fetus. Jesus Christ. Yeah. Right. I mean, I have to say that when I got to that part, watching it, 5 days ago, whatever, I was just like, the fuck is the baby for? All right, I'm done. It's over. Let's go to bed.
All right. There's a baby at in the end of this movie.
All right, there's a baby at the end. That's right. I don't fucking know what's going on. All right, I'm going to bed. Like that type of shit.
All right, so this is going to be a long episode. I need a beer. Can we take a quick break?
Beer break.
Oh, yeah. Beer back.
All right.